Hello viewers, I'm Jason Teow and this is the BMW 3 Series 318i. Now it's effectively a very great looking car, but at the same time sporty, just like me right now, dressing very elegant shirt, but at the same time, got the new kids. But today it's not about me, and in this video I'm going to talk you through the exterior, the interior, see how it drives, and also see what the common problem that you need to find if you're going to buy this as a used car. So the exterior, this is the 6th generation of the BMW 3 Series lineup. It's the successor of the previous generation, which is the E90. And you can tell this car is a much more wider car and a much more bigger car. It is 43 millimeters wider than the previous generation in the white tread. And since this is the entry level, the 318i luxury, you get a lot of bits of chroming bits in front of the bumper over here to make it luxury. And this DRL is connected to the kidney grille because, as you can know, this is the facelifted model. So for you out there, you want to know, is this the facelifted model? Just check the DRL. It's connected to the kidney grille. And speaking of kidney grille, I mean, it is relatively small for BMW compared to the new BMWs that we see nowadays. So in the front, definitely a great looking car. Let's come to the side. So the side profile, you can tell this car is much more longer than the predecessor, the E90. It's a 93 millimeters longer than the E90. And the only thing I really don't like about this car is just the rim. Since this is the entry model, you get this 10-spoke design. Not really like it. Other than that, yeah, very 3 Series design. You get this very sporty bone line structure of the entire car to make it much more aerodynamic. This car does not have a side skirt on it. But overall, I think it's a very great looking car. So moving on down to the rear. The rear, again, nothing visual upgrades to the rear over the pre-facing model, except the tailgate over here, the tail lamp, which is a much more L-shaped LED. For motoring journalists, they can spot this, but I think for the average consumer, they don't even know this is a facelifted model from the rear. But other than that, yeah, I think the design of this F30 has aged very well, like a fine wine. Now let's move on to the interior. Hey guys, this is Jason from the future. At this moment, my microphone suddenly stopped working, so right now I'll try my best to voice over this narration on what I described in this interior. Alright, here it goes. This interior design is very dull. However, interior quality is way better than a Mercedes C-Class W205. Storage and compartment is okay. Infotainment system is pretty good, although this infotainment is 6.5-inch display. The upper range model got a 8.8-inch display because bigger is better. So overall, this interior is alright. Now it comes to the boot capacity. This BMW has 430 liters of boot capacity, same boot as the boot of a Mercedes C-Class. However, this is a much more squarish shape than the Mercedes C-Class, which means it can fit a medium-sized box much more comfortable. No spare tire, and I can fit myself inside the boot, which means it's big enough for everyday usage. Okay, my microphone started to work at this point, so back onto the video. Thank you. So when it comes to the rear, this car is definitely much more bigger than the E90, that's for sure, because the length has increased by 93 millimeters longer. This seat is my driving usual position, and yeah, I can fit my leg underneath the seat no problem at all. If I sit up there straight, yeah, I just touched the headline just a little bit, but nothing too uncomfortable. Compared to a Mercedes C-Class, the car has a much more slopey design, so it's definitely good. It's a much more strong in terms of the headroom in that car. For this car, pretty good. And in terms of the wideness, yeah, you can tell this car is a very great in terms of carrying passenger in the rear. Shoulder, nothing too bad overall. The armrest, yeah, you can put it down here, no problem at all. You can have 2 cup holders over here, no problems. But when it comes to the middle seat, this seat does not raise up, which is very good, but the problem is the transmission tunnel is really huge. So if, like me, 181 centimeters tall, putting in the middle, yes, it does hitting to the headline over here, which is 18, but I think nothing too bad compared to the Mercedes C-Class. Overall, you can have 3 adult passengers in the rear, no problem without just a little squeeze. I think that's fine. So there are a few things that you need to know before buying this car as a used car. Now, the main common problem of this F30 is that the timing chain issue. Now, back then when BMW first launched this F30, it has a lot of problem with their N20 series engine. Now, in basic terms, that if you want to buy this F30 as a used car, stay away from the N20 series engine because there's a lot of problem, especially the timing chain guideline, because BMW has used brittle plastic on the timing chain guide, and once in long term, especially in Malaysia, hot weather like here, the plastic will break over time because I mean, it's plastic, it will break. So ever since they launched this facelifted model, they replaced the N20 series engine to the B38 or the B48, however you want to see it. But yeah, so that's the main thing that you need to look out for if you're buying this as a used car. Now, the second thing you need to know that if you're getting the 330i, it has an adaptive dampers electronic, and that car has a lot of issue when it comes to the damping long term. It's not a very big issue, but it can get a very annoying sound if you did not maintain the adaptive dampers properly. But other than that, yeah, those are the things, the common problem that you should look out for. I'll put a link description down below to for a view that you guys can see more what the problem is of the F30. So let's get on to the driving. So what is it to drive this car around town? Well, generally it's pretty good. Even though this is the entry level, its suspension is pretty soft. However, you do feel the bumps a little bit when it comes to this kind of imperfection, especially in Malaysia. Our road is at best terrible. It is no uncomfortable by any means. It's just that you can feel the bumps much more noticeable compared to a Mercedes C-Class that is just roughing along on the city town over here. The steering wheel is accurate. You can point it to the direction that you want and it delivers it no matter what. So parking in this car is pretty good. I mean, you don't have a camera, you only have parking sensor, which is kind of rude at this price point. However, if you get this car, I think you're probably going to get used to it. You do have front parking and rear parking sensor, which is pretty good. And parking this car is pretty easy, you know. The steering is light, yeah. See, well done. Oh, easy. Keep the car running. So going through the highway is pretty good generally. However, you do feel the noise a little bit more, especially in the road noise and just a little bit in the wind noise. I think it's due to the fact because it's using run flat tires. As standard, BMW give you run flat tire. If you're getting this car as a used car, make sure you finish the tread of the run flat tire and just use a normal regular tire, because it's a much more well spender if you get a traditional tire. But other than that, yeah, the suspension itself is pretty comfortable. So this is the 1.5 liter, the entry level. So BMW say that this car can claim up to 5.4 liters per 100 kilometer, or in MPG, it's 52 miles to the gallon. However, I'm getting around 8 liters per 100 kilometers, and that's about 30 miles to the gallon. I'll put the description right over here, whilst the MPG over here. I think overall, the fuel consumption in this car is generally okay. Of course, if you're going for the highest specification model like the 330i with more power, you're going to see much more lower fuel consumption than that. So I found myself a twisted road over here, and I'm going to put into sport mode right over here, put it into manual gearing shift. This does not have the pedal shift right over here, you only can change right over here. Now, this car does not have the M Sport adaptive dampers. You have to get the 330i. You can't get that as a separate option for this car, or even the 320i. You can't get it. But overall, let's just see how it performs. Yes, even though this is a 3-cylinder, 1.5 liter, not a 4-cylinder, and you only have 136 horsepower, like it's not enough power for most people, but generally speaking, it is plenty of power enough. Don't get me wrong, it is plenty enough fun for the most average people. So what do I think overall in this car, the F30? Well, even though this is the entry level of the 318i, I think it's still fun to drive even though it's entry level. If you can find your hand the 330i with the adaptive dampers electronic, yeah, get that 330i because it's a much more worth it car. But if you can still get this car no matter what. It's a very fun car to drive even though it's a used car. Thanks for watching.